St. Louis could have had a black mayor, but 5 African Americans ran for the Democratic primary, all lost in a tight battle, folks. Here are the numbers that took place on yesterday. Alderwoman Lyda Krewson won last night in a very close race in a crowded Democratic field. Of course, you see the numbers there. Krewson won. Tashara Jones actually came in second. She lost by about 1,000 some odd votes. She's a city treasurer and former state representative in St. Louis. Lost by less than 2% to Krewson. Also, of course, many folks know Antonio French, who gained national popularity, of course, after what took place in Ferguson. He came in fourth there as well. But what's more troubling, only about 50,000 residents in St. Louis voted in the Democratic primary, and significant black population. Let's go to a pastor who is there. Of course, he is there with the National Action Network. Joins now via FaceTime in St. Louis is Reverend Carlton Lee. Reverend Carlton Lee, first and foremost, did anybody say having 5 black candidates in the race was going to likely split the black vote, therefore making it hard for an African American to win the mayoral race?
Man, you know what, Roland? First of all, let me say good morning to you. Enjoy your show. Love talking to you. Number one, yeah, there was conversation about it. A very good friend of mine, attorney Gerald Christmas, was one who was very vocal about it. He said 5 candidates. We all need to just come together and at least figure out who would be the best candidate to serve the African American community as well as the city of St. Louis as a whole. And we just couldn't get it together. Tashara said it actually yesterday that, you know, if some of the men in the primary race, if they would have just got out a lot sooner, we would have not had this type of issue. And it was almost like a crab mentality in politics again.
But what in the world? 50,000? That's it? Because the reality is here. Whoever wins the Democratic primary runs against a Republican candidate April 4th for the general election. But whoever wins the Democratic primary in St. Louis is the next mayor.
Pretty much so. Pretty much so. And Lyda Krewson is exactly the exact replica of the current mayor that we have now, Mayor Francis Slade. Same policy ideas, nothing innovative, nothing new. It's just the same mundane task that will be handed, and tax abatements for the rich and the property developers. But, you know, she has one issue where she wants to criminalize being homeless. So we're going to run these same exact issues that we've been seeing the last 16 years. We're more than likely going to see them for the next 4 years if Lyda Krewson gets in.
And so, what's next? I mean, are black leadership in St. Louis having post discussions? Do they plan to have those today, saying, guys, look, if we want to talk about how do you change things, it's not going to happen running 5 folks for a Democratic primary.
Absolutely, man. You know, and I believe that should have been a conversation that should have been had prior to this primary election, but it's definitely one that is needed now. I think everyone has gotten their political spotlight. They've gotten the spotlight on them, and I think now we could be able. I think now we should come to the place of sitting down at a drawing board and figuring out, okay, what does the leadership in St. Louis? Number one, what does it look like? Number two, what is our ask? You know, I think we need to sit down and really have a roundtable discussion with the leaders in the city of St. Louis, as well as those up-and-coming leaders in the city of St. Louis, to find out what direction we would like to see the city to go forward from here.
Reverend Carlton Lee, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Go to our panel real quick here. I'm sorry. This is where voter education, voter registration matters. I mean, you're talking about elected leadership, less than 50,000 votes.
Yes.
With that many people in the field, that's atrocious.
Well, I mean, first, I was going to say very quickly that, you know, you can go, less than 50,000 people can go to a Cardinals game, a baseball game. Where's Tom Perez? Where Keith Ellison? They had the election in Atlanta 2 weeks ago. Somebody should have been around the DNC, either to mediate, and they're talking about local elections. This, again, shows us the political immaturity that we still face as our big challenge. Why have a meeting today? You should have had that meeting weeks ago, and the DNC should have been involved if they claim to be growing this party from the grassroots level.
I think that point is exactly right, and also, from my understanding, I wanted to ask Reverend Lee, but my understanding is that while turnout was 50,000, it was higher this year than, was I believe it was at 28% this year, and as opposed to 22% in the last election. So I think that folks are attributing that. I'm not saying that that's okay and that's enough, but I think that it's important to note that the candidacy of Tashara Jones, especially, and the attention that she got for going after the St. Louis Dispatch for being racist, really brought people out and got people excited. If there was an additional support from the Democratic Party, even before we got to Election Day, they often like to show up 10 days before the vote. Before that could have actually bolstered up Tashara's rise, could have actually added on to the infrastructure there. But again, this is a lack of engagement from the party.
You know, I don't care what city you run in. If you run 5 African American candidates,
absolutely,
you're going to split the vote.
But again, that's the party leadership from not speaking.
Well, that's not party leadership. It's also black leadership, because that was the point also when Harold Washington ran in Chicago in 1983. Black leadership said we're going to coalesce around one candidate and not split it. But more importantly, it's still sad if we're saying going from 22 to 28, and we should be happy about it. That still means that 28% of the city elected the next mayor. That's crazy. A peaceful protest turned deadly. 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Baton Rouge police. His hands are in the air, and you still get shot by the cops.
Oh my God, please don't tell me he's dead.
We're not gonna let hate define us.
Race is a big part of this.
If truly all lives matter, then all lives need to matter equally.
What we require is action. What we require is accountability. We understand that black lives do matter, and we will keep focused on this issue.
NewsOne Now, every weekday morning at 7 on TV1.